Welcome to another special edition of Kentucky Farm Bureau's Candid Conversation. I'm Tim Thornberry, editor of the Kentucky Farm Bureau News. We are still working remotely from home and staying with our guidelines for social distancing and just trying to stay safe at home. Hope all of you are able to stay safe out there as well. We have a very special guest with us today. He happens to be my youngest son, Austin, who is an ag business student at Morehead State University. I think he has a very interesting perspective as far as from young people, especially young people in the looking to go into the ag sector. Austin, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Before we get started, young man, tell us a little bit about who you are and maybe a little bit about what you're doing right now.
Well, like you said, I'm a ag business major at Morehead State going into the second half of my senior year. So I'm about to start looking for jobs and start heading into my career. Right now, we're just trying to get through online classes and get through this semester. It's not really what any of us planned for, but we're getting through it. We're doing our best.
Tell me a little bit about that. It's not only college students, but all students, I would suppose, at this point in time are having to finish up the school year in a much different way than any of them ever expected. What's that been like for you?
It's been a little challenging. A lot of my ag lectures that have labs with them, like my sheep production class, I'm not able to go to the sheep barn anymore to work with lambs or sheep or to get vaccinations or any of the labs we would have. Right now, all we have to do is read. But like I said earlier, we're just trying what we can. Most of the schools that aren't colleges in the state are set to go back at the end of April. That probably won't happen. They're probably going to end up the way we are. We've known about this for about a week before spring break. We knew we were going for a good 3 weeks. And then I think it was the week of spring break they told us and we weren't going back at all. So we had a little bit to prepare for this.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, modern technology has allowed you and I to carry on this conversation, even though you're in Morehead and I'm not. So I would assume that's been a real blessing for you guys up there to be able to finish your classes from a remote location where you are. Is that right? That sum it up pretty good?
That's pretty much what it is. I don't have any classes personally that require us to meet every day. I have one class that I met with this morning for about 30 minutes, but I know people and have friends that have all their classes online like this. So it's definitely different teachers definitely use different ways to stay connected with their students.
When you say meet, you are meeting virtually, I would assume.
Right.
Yeah. What kind of challenges does that present? Do you miss going to class?
I definitely don't miss getting up as early for the classes. Like I said, most of my classes, they just post a lecture. I read it and answer questions, so I can really do that anytime during the day. There are some that, like I said earlier, have to meet with their classes on Zoom or MSU Live is what most of us use, so they have to get up at the same time. Most what I miss about going to class is actually getting the hands-on. I'm really a visual and hands-on learner. It's hard for me to just read something and comprehend it. And with exams coming up, I definitely see that being a challenge for me as well as other students. But here's hoping I can get through
it. In those terms, I would assume with challenges come opportunities. What do you think has been good about learning or taking your classes rather and learning in a different way? Have you seen any opportunities that it's presented?
The number one opportunity I've seen is it definitely makes you read it for comprehension instead of just, I'll ask the professor a question next week if I don't get it. it makes you definitely read it and understand it and go back over it. So it's definitely helping with study skills and making sure you actually know the material before you test on it.
Awesome. I know you and I have discussed this, but for some folks out there that may not know who you are or what some of your plans are, what's looking down the road for you as far as, let's assume that next semester everything goes back to being normal, but even beyond that, what are you looking to do after school?
Well, hopefully next semester it does go back to normal, and next semester I'll finish up the rest of my classes. I really don't have any more centralized classes. I just kind of have to take care of some basic credits that I need. After next semester, I really don't know what my career has in store for me. Far into the future, I hope to be some sort of head of marketing or marketing assistant for an agriculture company in the state or out of the state, whichever wants to give me a job, really. But starting off right after the semester, I hope to get a job. Right now, what I hope to do is get a job as an extension agent in one of the counties close to Morehead or in Rowan County itself. I've been looking at those recently, and they seem really beneficial and just what I want to do when I get out of school to start with.
Mm-hmm. Does this change having to finish up the semester like you're having to do, that change anything as far as your future plans? Everything still the same for you now as they were, say, a month ago?
Everything so far is the same. I really haven't encountered anything that has made me want to rethink a job or a career. I really just base my jobs and my career aspects of things I can see myself doing really well in and things I can see myself enjoying. Like everybody says, if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. So I hope to be an example of that and fulfill that.
Last question for you, Austin. Any advice you can give us to some folks that are thinking about going to college and majoring in some kind of agricultural field?
If you do come, it may seem hard, but it's definitely worth it. If you're a agronomy major and you have to figure out, taxes and finance, you may not be thinking that it applies to you, but it comes together. And once you get further into your college career, you'll see how it comes together, and you'll see how these classes that you didn't want to take in the first place are actually really helping you. So stick it out. Don't think, well, I'll just change my major and it'll be fine, because every major has its challenges and every major is going to get harder as you go along. So just find what you're passionate about and stick to it, and you'll be just fine.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to our viewers, and certainly it's good to see you. I hope you're staying in, young man.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we're awful pleased to have you here. Austin Thornberry, again, my youngest son, has been our guest today on Candid Conversation. For all you folks out there who've watched our videos and listened to our podcast, we invite you to go to our many social media platforms to continue that. We also ask that you continue to be safe there at home and where you are, and we look forward to seeing you again on Candid Conversations.